Well, let's try this. Serious tech issues, everybody. Serious. It's tech issues or the NSA. You guys see me? I mean, God, it's like 27 minutes past when I said I was going to do this. Oh! I know, everyone's telling me I got to look into Zoom. I got to get Zoom. Yeah, it's just simple. Just do this right on YouTube, and then it goes right into the thing, and then, so now it's... All right. I'm sorry, you guys. That here we go. Okay. And then it wasn't letting me... All right, let me turn that down. So can you guys hear me okay? Is the lighting and the sound okay? Oh, haunted house lights. Ooh. Zoom or Ring Central, they both much better than Skype as far... Well, I'm not using Skype. This is YouTube. I'm doing this through my YouTube app on my phone. So I'll look into Zoom in terms of when I do interviews, like the one I just did with Elizabeth Voss, but this is not a Skype issue. All right, it's good on your end. Tyler, I'll just be honest, I had to do this earlier because two things. I'm editing, you know, I'm neck deep in editing for the FNX TV show. And I'm also just feeling a little run down. So I was like, oh, God. So I'm going to be editing later today. So I needed to do this earlier. So I want to do a full hour, hopefully, but I just feel like I don't normally get sick. Like everyone's getting sick. It's a bummer. Like I got sick a month ago and I'm kind of sick again. Like I don't get sick this often. This is weird. Tyler Enfinger. I'm in Louisiana. Why are people from here I know so uninformed? I feel like I'm talking to a child half the time. Well, that, my friend, is by design. So what they want to have happen is they're intentionally keeping people uninformed. And they really want working class or, you know, the poor, middle class, whatever you want to call it. They want those people to be as uninformed as possible because those are the masses. And they know that if the masses were informed, if the masses really knew what was going on, then the masses would revolt. The masses would just say no. What if this whole country, didn't matter Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, Green Party, Libertarian, Independent, Atheist, whatever, all said, nah, man. What if the 99%ers said that, right? What if they all, that's the thing why the Occupy Wall Street thing was like, woo, and that's why you saw the corporate media went after Occupy Wall Street. That's why Obama dispersed a bunch of cops during Occupy Wall Street. Because they don't want people, and they want you to be in debt and working really hard so that you don't have time to protest. You don't have time to stay informed. They're just hoping you watch a half hour of Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or ABC or whatever, and that's where you're going to get your news, and they'll feed you what you're supposed to know. So then you're told either the neoconservative or the neoliberal propaganda line that keeps everybody fighting with each other and not getting together. Because if we all got together, we would see this as ridiculous. You take some people in Louisiana, you take some people in LA and sit them down and ask them what's important. I bet you they would want the same things, you know? And if you really showed them, because look, I mean, I live in LA and I have a lot of people that I know in show business that are college educated and, you know, they're smart, intelligent people who've, you know, work professionally, and they're misinformed. You know, they think Rachel Maddow is giving them the straight scoop. They don't see the smoke and mirrors that's being played. So it's like they don't see how the deep state is truly working, and that's by design. So I think the thing I would try to do is try to sort of ask yourself what was the process, what was the timeline for how you became sort of awake? How did you what steps, because did it just happen overnight, like you just read one story and went, that's it, I'm changing? Or was it like a series of things, you know? So kind of look at what got you to change or wake up and see if that works for other people, your friends and family that you know in Louisiana or wherever, whoever, you know, lives anywhere. So I think that's sort of the key, is apply the techniques or tactics or events that worked for you to other people that you know. Jeremy Chase said, I don't consider people who fail to question popular narratives as intelligent. Yeah, I mean, look, that I see that point, Jeremy, and I appreciate you posting it. I think, though, it's easy to be frustrated, and I understand getting that frustrated and just being like, oh, these people are idiots, they're never going to figure it out. That might be, I mean, that might be true. And I would try not to be as dismissive as that. But also, I mean, again, we all came to this type of stuff at various points in our lives, some of us within the last year because of the election. And like in myself, you know, I just have been doing this channel for a year because I needed to wake up and do some stuff. And I was pretty well informed. So I look at myself a lot. And I wasn't some, I didn't work for the Democratic Party. I never donated money to the Democratic Party. Except for Obama's 2008 campaign, was the only time I ever gave money to the Democratic Party. I voted for a lot of Democrats, but I look back and I think, you know, I had that sort of misguided, you know, I would say I don't like the two-party system. I was very open about that and being an independent, but I'm a left-leaning independent, and I wish the Democratic Party would actually be the party it used to be, you know, under FDR, and being a working people party. So there's a lot of things I just was, and I just would kind of blame almost everything on the Republicans, and that's just the more I'm learning and seeing there's a little difference. So I think that's the key, you know. And I try to give people information. Now, look, I know I was out to dinner with my niece last month, and a woman interrupted our dinner because we were talking about the gun issue, and she was like arguing with us, and I raised my kids with guns, and there's terrorism in Europe, and that's why we have guns. And I was like, ma'am, you're more likely to die from an American male with a weapon than you are from any terrorist. And she didn't want to hear it. You know, she just didn't want to hear it. So I really, that's, you know, it was really frustrating. And I don't think she left there and like, I wasn't going to change her mind in that restaurant or whatever. But that's something that you got to really look at. And then maybe that's like, that woman's never going to get it. So to just dismiss her might be something that we would need to do. So, sorry, I'm trying to get the things here. My laptop is being problematic. Kari. Whoops, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. There it is. Somebody just did a super chat, so I want to get their name right. Hey, Kari Carson. Thank you so much for supporting the show. My laptop and phone were both having problems, so I had to restart them, and my laptop is still restarting, so that's usually where I see everybody, your comments, so I'm trying to get it on my phone. Tech issues. Maybe it's the new updates. Maybe it's NSA. So Kari Carson, thank you so much for supporting the show. Really appreciate it. And you guys, it's been really cool. And especially doing the article that I did about the child trafficking cover up and then talking to Elizabeth Voss from Disobedient Media. That was really cool. And you know, that was a great interview. She did it's really cool to meet people like that, even if it's just virtually, but to hear what they have to say and why she started Disobedient Media and how they're doing it. And it shows you like, this is kind of how it needs to happen. You need to, and they aren't journalists. You know, they're not like, they don't have journalism degrees, which like we talk about, I don't know, that might be a good thing to not have a journalism degree. Because I don't see a lot of journalists having any ethics, because isn't that what you should be taught in journalism school is ethics and everything? So, I don't know. It's very peculiar. So, not peculiar, but problematic. That's the word. Sorry. It's like a head cold, sniffly. It's just really weird. I don't like it. I don't like it. All right, let me put some more questions up there. My dad drinks up MSNBC and CNN like Kool-Aid, even though I've tried to show him the facts and shows on YouTube. He voted for Trump. He hated Trump. Sorry. Maybe I need glasses. From the fact that his own party is corrupt. He thinks this party, he treats his party like a football team. Yeah. Cyberclue, that's a problem too. And that's what I see so many people do. That's like my team. You know, so right or wrong, I want my team. And if my team cheats a little bit to win, hey, so be it. Everybody cheats, right? Isn't that like the thing that people say? So that's why when people were like, Graham, why are you getting so critical of the Obama years? And I'm like, because he helped let this happen, as did Bush and Clinton and everyone else. And so that's the thing I try to say. I'm not going to just turn a blind eye to my guy because I voted for him or not be as critical. If anything, and this is the thing I would start saying to folks like your dad or whomever, is we need to be more critical of the people that we voted for that got elected, because they are representing us. And if we let them slide just because this is my team, this isn't sports. You know, and people spend more time watching sports and everything else, and it's like, well, when the Cubs won the World Series, I didn't suddenly get free health care. Cubs winning the World Series didn't cut the military budget in half. It didn't become, we didn't have free college tuition in Chicago as a result of it. Gun deaths didn't go down as a result of it. So you know what I mean? That's the thing I would point out to people. Yeah, I'm a Cubs fan. I've been watching them since I was a kid. It was cool to watch them win. It was really awesome, but it's still just baseball. It's still just sports. It's still just big business. It's billionaires paying millionaires to play a kid's game. So I think that's that's how you got to look at people. I'm just like, I don't understand. I always ask questions. I always ask the questions, that I would want to be asked from those people. I'm like, why? And I come from my point of view too with regard to sports. I say, I used to be a big sports fan. I go, but look at all the time I spent on sports, and it's nice, it's entertaining, it's a distraction, but I used to get so worked up about it. And I look at it and I say, that's sort of a foolish waste of time. I want my team to win, but first of all, and there were some cool things like going to live sporting events is just fun. For me, that's a fun thing, and you go with some people and you have a great time. And like this kid that I'm a big brother to, I took him and his brother to a minor league hockey game. And it was awesome. And, we just rooted for the home team. We weren't like face painting or, it was just fun. It was a fun game. The home team lost in overtime, but we just had a blast. These kids had never seen hockey live before. And so I think sports should be treated more like entertainment. And politics, people should be getting very more involved with, and not root. It's the reverse. We should be treating politics like a very serious personal issue, and sports we should be treating like entertainment. I think a lot of people are just like, I watch the news for entertainment, but I'm going to yell and scream at the TV when my team loses, which is insane to me. That's insane. Phil Britton football is boot camp for the Pentagon. Yeah. Infused teenagers, testosterone-infused teenagers treated for war. That's a great point, Phil. Especially the NFL. And when we learned, like in 2009, they started paying the NFL, tens of millions of dollars to get the people out there. Yeah, and that's what it is. And I played high school football, and the coaches all spoke in war, terminology, gear up, we're going into battle, and all this other stuff. Now, this was way, way, way before 9/11, but it shows you're right, Phil, that people are, it trains you to gear up for war, it trains you for boot camp, and then everybody cheers for it, and everybody stands for the national anthem, and we honor only military folks at sporting events, especially football, which it's great to honor vets. I've went overseas. I've seen the sacrifice that those folks and their families make, and I really appreciate that. So, but as Bob Costas brought out when Kaepernick thing was all starting, he's like, why don't we honor at a sporting event, a teacher, somebody who runs here's the guy that does Doctors Without Borders, or, this woman does pro bono law work for poor people. Let's stand for her. Here's a bunch of school teachers. Let's stand for the nurses and doctors and in a free clinic. We should be doing more of that. Lawrence Taylor, frequent supporter of the show. Thank you so much for the super chat. Greetings from Switzerland and the WEF. I don't know, what's that? And the WEF? I don't know. But Lawrence, thank you for supporting the show. Speaking of football, Lawrence Taylor was a linebacker that I idolized when I was a kid because I watched him play. Those teams were greater than I played linebacker when I was in high school. Let's hope I don't have CTE, since they covered that up. Lawrence Taylor, thank you so much for supporting the show. Anybody watching for the first time, you'll see a little icon that has a $sign on it. If you hit that button, your question or comment or whatever gets pushed automatically up there, and I will say your name and whatever you want me to say, like greetings from Switzerland and the WEF. And if you have a question, it'll absolutely get answered. So thank you guys for supporting the show. Lawrence Taylor, right on. Hi, Graham. Hi, guys. I'm waiting for my computer to boot up. What does this say? Rachel S. Cheers to all the people who are fighting the good fight. Greedy, false tellers out. Humanitarian truth tellers in. Revolution is finally uprising. Yeah. I hope that's what's happening. I hope that more and more people are waking up. It's funny, like the woman that I hired last month to be my producer, I just know her because we hired her at the LA Podcast Festival. She's really good, and she was like, she goes, I'm sad to admit I don't know much about politics, and she is waking up. When I'm showing her, like, see these videos on Yemen getting demonetized and the NSA video getting demonetized, and they've tapered some of the, they'll do like a soft censorship where I'll have a video and it'll just kind of stay at like 200 views, even though I've promoted it and it should be up at 300, 400, 500 views, and it'll just stay there. They do stuff like that. When she saw the unsubscribes happen, she's like, wow. And she's waking up. And it's really cool because she's like, and I've started to let her do the thumbnails now. So I write the title for the show. I send her, here's what I do. I record the video here in this glamorous studio, and I give them to her in Dropbox, and I give the title and the description, and then she makes the thumbnail. So she's been starting to make the thumbnails, and she's getting excited, and she's enjoying that she's getting like an education, and she's so waking up. And it's, you know, like we talked about Chelsea Manning and everything, and so it's really, it's cool to do. So you can try to do that too. Some people might want to just sit and watch their TV and say, I don't give a shit. Phil Britton, if you are broke, at least share Graham's links with 5 friends now. Right on. Yeah. Share this right now. Get some people watching right now. That'd be really cool. Taj Marie, I share various videos, especially with Richard Wolff, on my Facebook page. That's very cool. Lucas Pompey, movies can have a point, a message, something that makes you think. They can contain very thoughtful commentary on history or art or current events. Football is just a stupid waste of resources. Yeah, and it's funny because it's like, you know, I would say one of the things that I did like about watching sports, and I still do watch sometimes, it is, I would always say, well, it's live human drama, you know. And I love watching the strategy and all this other stuff, but you're right. I mean, think of the money we spend on football stadiums and what the NFL, all the billions of dollars that the NFL is making. And again, are those people in the stadiums that are selling, you know, $10 beers and $6 Cokes, are they making $15, $20 an hour? Probably not. Maybe some stadiums have union employees, but I'm guessing most of them don't. And all that money that's spent could be, you're right, could be helping people. It could just be like, sports could just be this like cool thing, but it's sort of, you see how they're, again, sports is by design. The first question today about why are people in, you know, Louisiana, not, they're dumb or whatever, not paying attention. It's by design. You are raised and bred and built and trained and educated to care more about your local football team. You are supposed to get that involved. You are not supposed to go to a town hall meeting. You are supposed to paint your face and go to the tailgating. And, you know, getting together with friends and watching a game, there's some fun. And we need to have some community, and especially in doing this show, you know, we gotta, you know, I need breaks, and I need to go have fun from this because this is pretty intense. I talked about that with Elizabeth Voss. But remember, we're all sort of victims of American and Western society. I mean, look in Europe, it's all soccer, soccer. Now, soccer has more of a history of like, soccer has way more politics infused in it and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a thing. Austin Zappis. I only like sports where people don't have to hurt each other, like motorcycle racing, surfing, scuba diving, soccer, tennis, volleyball. Nobody should ever get hurt everybody either. Yeah, the violence of American football is pretty gnarly, and what it does to your body is brutal. Yeah, I've gotten way more into, like, I watch the WNBA. I love watching women's basketball. It's amazing fundamental basketball. The tickets are cheap. You can sit really close. There's not drunk dudes at the game. Like, fuck you, you know. It's just like, it's such a mellow vibe. It's so fun. I love going. I go to the LA Sparks. That's my team. So, Sean Smurfy, why is there a skull on your top? Are you a death worshiper? Yeah, death. I don't know. I got this at Old Navy. I don't know what this means. It's just, I just buy long sleeve shirts, and I usually wear t-shirts over them. No, I'm not a death worshiper. Mimi M, you're old? Oh, that's not cool to say, Mimi M. Maybe you're about to get blocked. Alexandria M, how can we be untouched by evil greed? All the things we buy are tainted. We gas up our cars, for Christ's sake. I get sick every time I do that. Alexandria, that's such an excellent point. It is. We all are a part of it. So the thing specific to the gas, it's why I bought an electric car, because I just was getting so sick of doing that. And that's why when before I got the electric car, I would ride my bike as much as I could and take the bus, because I just felt better. I mean, physically felt better by riding my bike everywhere, but even taking the bus, of not giving, more money to the oil companies and stuff like that. I think that's the thing we talk about on this show. And so I say, vote with your dollars. We're all a part of it, but don't let the fact that we're America, and even just any Western industrialized country, we're all part of it. Don't let that the overwhelmingness, as you say, as we're all tainted by the greed, prevent any of you from taking some action, because even a small action adds up. And the reason I say vote with your dollars is because the corporate state monitors that all they care about is profit. So if you cut into their profits just a little bit by not giving them, your car stays home 1 day a week. That might not seem like a lot, but it is. It'll add up. It'll add up in your amount of money that you're spending. And when you can spend money in a local business versus a big thing. I understand, like, money's tight and the only thing close by is a giant Walmart or something. I understand that, but like, make these little steps, make those little votes with your dollars. That's where the difference is going to come. The main reason, though, I talk about that is to also have a little compassion for yourself, because we were born in this crazy environment, which will then give you a little bit of compassion for other people out there, because they just haven't been woken up. You talk to people from third world countries, they think we're all jackasses. They're just like, the only difference between you progressives and the Trumpers is, not much. You're all part of this evil empire. So, I don't know, maybe I'm meandering a little bit, but Carrie Carson, let's see what you guys are talking about. Where are you at? Oh, there's a lot of stuff here. Cyber Clue. Hey, Graham, how long does it take to charge your car up, and how much does it cost? Great question. My car, the Kia Soul EV, gets about 95, 100 miles when it's fully charged. The amount of time it takes to charge really... oh, wow. You're being a dick. Meme, guess what? Who's getting blocked? Why are you old? Great question. Why are you young and stupid? Why are you blocked? So back to the question of, I think it's the first girl we've blocked. Yay! Equality. Even girls can be dumb trolls. Oh, now she sent me an FU. Okay, so now she's getting reported. Hate speech, or I'll call it harassment or bullying. This is harassing me, and she's getting reported. What a jackwagon. I've had to get a restraining order against some people. Why am I keep getting this? Hide user on this channel. Yeah. God, what an asshole. Person just went nuts. Okay. Sorry, we were talking about something cool, electric cars. So, to answer your question, how long does it take to charge? It depends on how low your battery is. So, if I'm like near empty, like I'm at less than 10 miles, then it'll take probably 4 hours on a 240 volt charger. There's these things called fast chargers, and they can charge your car if it's in like less than an hour. And how much it costs really varies. Like in many places in LA, there's free charging, but some places charge. There's all these different apps, and if you download the app PlugShare, it'll show you all the charging stations in your area. And like when you plan a trip, like if you drive, like when I drive out to San Bernardino every Sunday, it's 70 some miles out there. So I get there and there's a charger like half a mile from the theater where we record the show. It's a free one because it's through a city of Colton. So it really depends. Last night I went to a movie and the parking garage I was in had free charging, but I had to pay for parking. Some places you pay for parking and the charge. It varies from rates because there's probably a half a dozen companies out there, if not more, that sell electricity for electric cars. So it really depends. And I don't have one in my apartment building yet because the charging stations are kind of expensive. They're $2,000–$3,000. They're talking about the city is going to maybe subsidize that for apartment buildings. So we'll find that out. Where are we at here? Taj Marie, since you're on the subject of voting, of using gas and voting with your dollars, everyone needs to know that divesting, although with some influence, hold on, this sounds like a good question. Everyone needs to know that divesting, although with some influence, only helps incrementally. There was an article on that. Therefore, we need to actually reduce consumption in order to reduce the profit of oil companies. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think it's a combination of things. Like looking for one fell swoop is I don't think that's it. I would be cautious about an article that says divesting isn't working because I would wonder who put that article out there because the oil company is getting aware that people are divesting and they're trying to put out. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying this, I don't know which article you're referencing, but I'm just saying based on what I've seen, I wouldn't be surprised if the people who put out that article were trying to talk you, the masses, out of divesting. So I think it's a number of things. Divesting from big banks that use the big pipelines. I think that's a good thing. Reducing consumption is the key. And that's where it's like leaving your car at home and taking public transportation or carpooling, stuff like that will save you actual money. And they notice that. They see that consumption is lowering. And also like, so the governor of California, Jerry Brown, is trying to pass a new bill to add like something like 4 or 5 million electric cars and increase the electric charging infrastructure in the state of California in like the next 10, 15 years or something like that. It's a pretty bold law, pretty bold bill that he's trying to push. So I think there's, I think it's a multiple of things we need to do to answer your question. Kari Carson, should California ignore national government policy and simply subsidize to green energy itself? Where are you at as a state and how far do you need to go? That's a great question. So I think California is, for years, because it had such a smog problem in the 70s and 80s, and they really started to address it in the 90s, that it has gone pretty green for a while. And I think that would be even better, is if the state just became fully self-reliant and fully green and showed then to other states, because just about every state has something, wind, sun, hydro, I mean, something that they could, a green, sustainable power source that they could use and get off of the grid. I would love to see California do that. I think the state is pretty progressive compared to other states nationally. And what I just talked about, like Jerry Brown making a more electric car, more charging, like a building up the infrastructure. Part of that I would suggest is then let's put solar panels on every government building. Let's put wind turbines, even not the giant ones, even the small ones. It has a lot of wind energy. Let's try to increase that. Let's try to do more, because we've had a lot of droughts, is water reclamation. So I think there's a lot. I think California's kind of already there in terms of it's not like starting from scratch, basically. And I think it'll save more money. So I would love to see California just say, we're going to try to be completely self-sustaining with green energy. So I hope that answers your question. James 98, do you think a public bank would be a good idea? Yeah, I think we need to start doing that because the banking industry now is so evil and so corrupt, and they have so much power over the government that I would love to see more public banks. And the banking industry, if it becomes popular, public banks, you'll hear a lot of politicians saying bad for business and too much regulation and blah, blah, blah. The banks need a shit ton of regulation. So I would love to see, like there used to be a bunch of savings and loans, and because public banks would be so restricted. You know, when a bank, I forget what it is, it's like you can loan, banks used to loan in like the old savings and loan model, you could loan like 3 to 1, meaning for every dollar you had in the bank, you could loan $3 more. And during the whole 06, 07, that whole leading up to the thing, banks were loaning at a 10 and 11 to 1. It was crazy. That's how one of the things that made the crash happen. So, and in the old savings and loan model, the savings and loan wanted you to stay in your home. If you were having problem making your mortgage payments, foreclosures were bad for them. Whereas this corrupt model that is going to happen again, as it did in 2008, they make a profit from mass foreclosures because they kick you out of their house, they resell it, and then the government bails them out with your tax dollars. So I would love to see public banks. Lucas Pompey, if it weren't for subsidies, the fossil fuel companies would have been out of business in 2015. Oh yeah, that's a great, yeah, if you go to Europe, I'm sure anybody watching from Europe can tell you what gas is there. It's, what is it here, $3 some a gallon, roughly. I mean, that's what it is in California. It's probably a little less if you live outside of it, but it's something like close to, averages out to something like $10 a gallon in Europe, if you figure they're using liters and the euro and all that. But Benji, tax incentives for these systems, incentives are essential element. Benji, I'm assuming you're talking about green technology. That's great. I forgot to bring that up. That's a great point. That is one of the things that I was watching on the news today that is in Jerry Brown's proposal, is a bunch of incentives, tax incentives. Because what happened, so Trump just rolled back starting this year in 2018. You used to get up to $7,500 tax rebate from the IRS if you bought an electric car. It's one of the reasons I bought mine in 2017, because so that didn't expire. Now in 2018, it's expired. So let's say if you had, it was up to $7,500. So if you owed $5,000 in taxes, you would only get a $5,000 tax break. If you owed $9,000 in taxes, you'd only get a $7,500 tax break. But it was a big incentive. That's why I did it. Because my car, after the rebates they gave me and the incentives and the actual cash back, my car is going to be under $20,000 for a brand new car. And that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing. So yeah, tax incentives are a big reason to incentivize people to go to green technology. They had them with solar panels. They've had them with a lot of stuff. All right, where are we at? Lucas Pompey, a debt jubilee and a universal basic income would monumentally change this country for the better. Yeah, it would. I would love to see. I would love to see that. Am I still? Phil Britton, check out David Bowie's movie, The Man Who Fell to Earth, where water is more valuable than gold. Nestle knows that, yeah. Ryan, Heather, yeah, Jerry Brown is fucking worthless to us in NorCal. Yeah, I know. He's become so much more of a neoliberal. He used to be like a pretty solid progressive. Yeah. He won't support single payer, and he's not standing up against ICE in California. Yeah, he said, how are we going to pay for it? Easy, Jerry. There's Benji, electric bikes used to be at least have a $500 import tax. I never understood that. Yeah, that's one thing too. If they're, wow, that's just sort of, Here's the thing. If you want to get rid of tariffs of importing stuff like that, is it's all this stuff can be built here in this country and in wherever country you're living. I mean, so many countries are building their own green energy, and it's putting people to work. I don't know. That's the key. So. Copter Force. I feel like having an electric car is something more well-off, liberal-minded people do to feel like they are reducing their carbon footprints, but the real deal is to be a poor fuck like me who can't. Well, Copter Force. I think right now, the price point on electric cars is still pretty high, even with tax breaks and incentives and stuff like that. But that's one of the reasons to support it. And that's why in a state like California of increasing the infrastructure and increasing the tax rebates, they actually become lower that in the long run than a gas car. If you start to figure in, and I think that's the key, is figuring what your total fuel costs, because here's the other thing about electric car. There's no pistons, there's no spark plugs, there's no oil changes, there's no belts. There's just a big electric motor and it spins the wheels. It's very, very simple. So I would start to factor in how much you spend a year on your gas car. Oil changes, everything, gas, all of it, basic maintenance, and the occasional brake job or new tires, and factor that in and put that all into the equation, and it might seem more affordable than you think. And whatever state rebates your state has. Real Jingy. Cheers, Graham Elwood and everybody. Why don't we short the system with our voice? Together, I believe we would be able to gather enough of the same voice, same thing. We have a course together. Yeah, that's the thing, uniting and everybody working together. It's going to take some sort of mass type resistance for this, for sure. Shirley Vick, Steve Wynn resigns from RNC finance chair after sexual allegations. Yeah, I just saw that. I didn't know he was the RNC finance chair. It just shows you too, man, right? These creepy, powerful people, right? So he's the big RNC chair. Harvey Weinstein, big donor to the Democrats. There's all these photos of him and Hillary and Oprah all hanging out together because he helped finance her campaign. All these powerful people and these creepy, powerful guys. Steve Wynn is an asshole, right? And I'm glad these women are coming forward and holding him accountable. But how many people, this is the thing I said about Harvey Weinstein, how many people knew about this and did nothing? You know, that speech Oprah gave at the Golden Globes, that's a cool speech and empowering young women. That's great. But she knew about Harvey Weinstein. She's buddies with him. How many? They all knew. That's the thing I don't buy. They knew. The RNC knew about Steve Wynn. The Clinton and the DNC knew about Harvey Weinstein, and they just let it slide. You know, and in the eyes of the law, you're culpable if you knew crimes were happening and you did nothing. Not just on the top of it morally. Benji, what do you think about Obama and the U.S. forbidding the import of Chinese solar panels and Trump and the U.S. putting the 25% tax on Chinese solar panels? Did you hear about that? I did not hear about that. But it doesn't surprise me. It's probably when in 2015 China said we're going to go green, and they spent $111 billion on green technology, and we spent 40-some billion that year. And it just shows you that's their solution. Oh, we're going to put a tax on them, or we're not going to buy them. They're like, hey, we could build them here, is not anywhere on Obama or Trump or any, because they're paid by the fossil fuel companies. Trump was, Obama is, like that's the problem. You know, if we implemented a Green New Deal, we could save the planet, put everybody to work. It would be amazing. We could have this amazing country, this amazing planet. We really could. It's not that crazy. It's not like a far-fetched idea. Oh, you'll never get that done. All right, well, if we never get that done, then guess what? The human race is going to go out. maybe in my lifetime, at least if not mine, then my nieces and nephews. It's like, it's just going to, if we don't do something about it. I mean, as Jill Stein said, we're facing the 6th extinction event. I got to slow that down. If I try to say it fast, I always go, think event. I sound like I've got peanut butter on my face. In my mouth, not on my face. Being on my face wouldn't affect how I talk. I'm fighting a cold. But that's a great point, Ben G. Don't forget, guys, to hit the super chat to support the show. Catalytic Centaur, we're not facing, we're right in it. Good point. You're right. Gary Carson, it's Saudi Arabia's solution too. They know their oil is running out, more forward thinking than America in green. Crazy. Yeah, I know. Well, that's the other thing. You saw a lot of Middle Eastern countries. That's why Dubai was like, we're going to make this into a resort because oil's going to run out. Some people figured it out, and then some people are they're crazy. These smart, wealthy, powerful people are just like putting their heads in the sand. It's nuts. Jeremy Chase, why is battery storage an issue with solar or wind, but never discussed with coal, natural gas, or nuclear? Yeah. You notice that? Because they're always trying to like they want to keep that. We're just, the technology's not there yet for wind and solar. It's just not there yet. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's all there. People are using it. It's fine. I drive an electric car all the time, every day, just about. And when I don't have charging in my home, and I figure it out. It's fine. This gym I'm going to has charging, so I'll go there. Or near this yoga studio, I'll charge there. Or I'll charge here where there's by this movie theater. It's not like people act like, oh, what do you do with it? Hello, Brett James. Glad a lot of you voted for Jill Stein. Phil Britton, tax churches. They are business models of mind and wallet control. Yeah, churches are not taxed. If we put a little tax on churches, that'd be nice. Yeah, and get those trillions of dollars in offshore money from corporations, get those back or tax that money. That would change our economy and cut the military budget in half. Lawrence Taylor. The petroleum industry uses 43% of the electricity in the world. Jesus. And cow. Unadaskow. I hope I said that right. They also try to figure out how to reclaim the desert with limited but some access. Yep. Lucas Pompey. Benji, we shouldn't tax pipelines. We need to ban pipelines. Yeah, exactly. I don't want pipelines. I don't want to tax something shitty. I just want it gone, you know? Taj Marie, thanks, Graham, for the truth about the solar panels. Although the tariffs pressured the jobs of installers, the U.S. and Obama had put us in this position by not investing more in green technology. Absolutely. They implemented a tax break in the state of California if you got solar panels, and then they took that away. You know, the solutions are very easy. But the people that are in power, be they Republican or Democrat, are so bought and paid for by the oil companies that they have to, you know, when Obama in the 2008 campaign was talking, he was like, we're going to get green energy and green technology. And I saw one of his campaigns when he was in like Pennsylvania. He was like, wind and solar and clean coal. And I was like, oh, clean coal. There's no such thing as clean coal. I make this joke all the time. It's like ethical child pornographer. It does not exist. Yeah. Where are you at? Cyber Clue. Well, if they cheat Bernie, Tulsi, or Nina in the 2020 primary, it's Jill Stein 2020. Well, hopefully, and I've said this, if they cheat somebody big, like Bernie or Nina or Tulsi in the 2020 Democratic primary, let's say any of the three of them run as the presidential candidate, and they get cheated, so that like Liz Warren or Kamala Harris gets the big neoliberal nod. I hope then they say, we're running as a green or as an independent or something like that. You know what I mean? Do the thing that Jill Stein offered to Bernie after he was cheated and said, Bernie, run as the president of the Green, I'll be your VP. Right? I would love to see that. Jeremy Chase, I worked with that, quote, clean coal. For some reason, I was covered in black dust every day. Well, that's weird. You're probably doing it wrong because you're a pie-in-the-sky progressive, Jeremy. Carrie Carson, your question here, how long will the oil industry hold on? Will some eventually shift their resources into green? Eventually, will we be able to ever work with them? I've talked about this a lot, the carbon bubble. And the governor of the Bank of England gave a speech, now it's 3 years ago, warning about the carbon bubble. And what the carbon bubble is all the money that is invested in carbon fossil fuels, basically oil and coal. And if people don't see big investors, you know, hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, don't see a long-term sustainability in their oil investment, they're going to pull out, and everybody could start to pull out at the same time. That's why the oil company is so afraid. He gave a solution. He said, we need to just slowly deflate the bubble rather than letting it burst. And let's slowly tear ourselves down, because this collapse could cause a global financial crisis. Global, right? Because oil affects, 43% of the electricity. It affects hundreds of millions of jobs around the planet, if not billions of jobs. And it could be devastating. But I don't think the fossil fuel industry is just doubling down on extracting as much oil as they can and putting out pipelines. I don't know. I think they're just on a train and they can't turn it around and they don't know what to do. You know, it's like why I'm just like, we need to circumvent them or something. It's pretty scary to see. Vikash Bahala, pipelines are required. We don't need to kill those jobs. We need water to flow through those pipelines. In business, it's called a domain shift. That's a good point. You know, you're right. I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot to say that when I was like, get rid of pipelines. You're right. Yeah, oil pipelines, but you're right. I've talked about this before. Man, that's a great point. Is we need pipelines. A water pipeline system would be great. I've talked about this, like when there's big snowstorms in the north in the U.S. and then in the spring it melts and then they have floods. They could send that water down to places in the south. I can remember when Georgia had a big drought years ago and it hurt their crops. And any places that are having drought, the Southwest, California, wherever, Texas, anywhere, could then get that water. So you're relieving the drought from the north, or you're relieving the flooding from the north, and then helping the drought in the south. Yeah, I'm all for pipelines, water pipelines. Let's keep water pipelines going. Cadillac Senecar. Oh man, not a big cold, but get some honey plus onion / garlic, and for sleeping, milk and honey plus cinnamon. Okay. Phil Britton, the answer to all our energy problems and pollution smiles, overhead daily, the sun. It's free and Exxon hates that. Rex Tillerson is a bought-off whore, a traitor to life. Yep. Costello West, is a water pipe a bong? Ha ha. 420 Samway, bro. Wait Gafford. The new FISA allows for warrantless wiretapping. Sorry, where'd that go? If they pass a law that means they are already engaging in it, will this possibly extend to federal agencies like Social Security? Oh boy, good question. Yeah, it's really, all they did with FISA is just they just extended the thing that Obama extended from Bush. Yeah, that's a great question. So there are probably a bunch of laws. I mean, it almost just seems like this is just like formalities. Like they just need something on the books, you know, but they're already doing whatever the hell they want. So I don't know. They might be able to do. That's a great question. I don't know that I have a distinct answer for that, but thank you for asking it. Rick O'Brien, how about we start the UBI and use all our willing unemployed Americans to clean up all the damage we have done with our country and planet, clean our room, so to speak. Oh man, that would be great. Can you imagine? If we cut the military budget in half and put all these people to work just making the planet a cleaner place. All the toxic spills, got rid of all that. I watch an Empire Files about Chevron in the Ecuadorian Amazon. It's horrifying. They just drilled and they've contaminated the land and the water. And they're just like, it's a bunch of indigenous people. Who cares? You know, and people with birth defects, cancer. It's unbelievable. It's that same story I just covered in West Virginia in that town. It's the same thing. They go to poor communities and just, the hell with them. And we do it, and Chevron was fined. And then they passed a law, they can hold their money in America and not have to pay these fines in another country. Good old U.S. Supreme Court let that happen. Oh, it's so gnarly. Cyber clue. Ginger root chopped up with tea and some honey is also good for cold and cough. All right, thank you. I'll get all those things. Catalytic Centaur. Help people do clean little farms like Ridgedale Farm in Sweden, local high quality food plus regenerative agriculture. Yeah. Mother Nature has a pretty good system in place. They had it all figured out. Kate, how do I invest in marijuana legally so I can make money and fund campaigns? God, that's a great question. I wish I had a lot of money. When I knew several years ago, like, if I could invest in marijuana, I would, especially knowing California's, was and now has legalized it. I don't know. I'd look into that, but it's a great thing. I don't know what state you live in, but figure out what it takes to either grow it or see if there's people that need investors. I don't know. That's a great thing to look into. It's the next wave of investment cash. Benji, Monsanto's dominance goes away if we understand the science better or if we cooperate and intent to supplant it with community-driven cooperative efforts and barter systems. That's a good thing, yeah. I mean, I think the cooperatives is such a great idea. Cooperative farming, cooperative store, like that's really, that's the thing. Yeah, get away from corporations and go into cooperatives. Yeah, that's a great thing to bring up, Ben. Some of you are talking about Vermont. Brett Smith, Vermont is a legal state come July 1st. Awesome. Lucas Pompey, urban farms aren't the solution, though, only a small part of it. No, they're not. Like none of these things, urban farms are a good idea for a lot of reasons. But none of this, you got to understand, like, if I think we got to get out of the, like, this just solve this one thing, other than something monumental like cutting the military budget in half. But, like, it's a bunch of little things. It's a bunch of little ways to resist. It's a bunch of little ways. If you watch the documentary Collapse, he talked about how Cuba went to, when they got sanctioned by the U.S., he compared Cuba and North Korea. And the Cubans went to urban gardens are great for a lot of reasons, especially rooftop gardens are good to reduce urban heat because all the concrete heats cities up more. Control your own food source is important. And I think all those little things add up. That's my opinion. Like, and I like solutions like that because that's something each person can do potentially in their situation. Because so many of us, and you guys email me and ask me this and talk to me about this, and I feel the same way, is like, what can I do? I'm just one person. It's like, well, there's a little thing you can do, Cheeky Breaky. It's about grain stores and a combination of hydroponic and traditional farming. Yeah, I've seen some cool hydroponic growing in like urban areas and stuff like that. I saw a story on that. They were doing it, I think, in England. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of solutions out there, and each solution might not work all over the place. It might just work for that region based on the geography or whatever. But I'm all for different solutions. That's part of the things we got to do. Let's listen to a bunch of different solutions. Let's try them. Maybe this one doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't mean, oh, we failed. It just means, okay, that didn't work. What did we learn from it? And those are the keys, I think, that can help us climb out of this awful business. Marsha Smith. Yes, Kate, I might want to supplement my insurance-covered pain pills with edibles, but they are so expensive here in California. Yeah. I know some people that have done that. They've gone to edibles because pharmaceutical, you know, it's like you can get hooked on it, and they were using Vicodin for, you know, for pain, and then went to edibles and other stuff. Like, I know. But thing I might ask Marsha is just how much is the cost worth versus the long-term effects of being on pharmaceuticals versus long-term effects of edibles? Just a question. But thank you for supporting the show, Marsha. It's always great to see you here. Sean Comet's feds are making it harder and harder for banks and marijuana investors in Denver. Yeah, that's what they're doing, the feds. Because that's still why, and Tulsi Gabbard has pushed for this, is decriminalizing marijuana on a federal level. Because this is obviously, for those of you who don't know, this is how they stick it to states like Colorado and Oregon and California, is banks are federally regulated. So then you as a marijuana, if you can legally sell marijuana in your state, like in Colorado, you then can't use a bank to process your transactions like any other business can, right? Like I have a business bank account and I like get money from this and stand-up comedy and all this other stuff. So that's one of the ways the feds are trying to squeeze, and I guarantee you they're getting pressure from Big Pharma. Big Pharma does not like legalized marijuana. They don't like it at all. So the feds, then that's why Obama, we thought, oh, he's so progressive. He wouldn't let that happen. See? Thanks for bringing that up. Nick Thompson. Thank you for supporting the show, Nick. Really appreciate it, you guys. Thoughts on North Korea wanting peace talks directly with South Korea and not involving other countries? I think it's because the U.S. is warmongering lunatics. Yeah, well, those are my thoughts too. That's exactly right. And that just shows you how crazy America's stance with North Korea has been in general and how crazy it is under Trump. Because Trump, the war machine, the military-industrial complex, like wants, even I would say needs a war with North Korea. And you see this thing. So the way the mainstream media covers this, North Korea is saying, we want peace talks. I'll give North Korea credit. America's acting like a rogue, crazy state. We're a crazy, the biggest military in the history of the human race, and we're running around swinging our big dicks around, scaring everybody, and it's just like, whoa! You can't, I'm not excusing whatever stuff the Kim Jong-un has done to his people or whatever, but good. Of course they're terrified. You know? It'd be like, so you notice the mainstream media won't cover like, oh, North Korea is not wanting to deal with America, because North Korea has offered to come to the peace table with us, with the United States, on 4 different occasions. They said, we'll ramp down our nuke program. Just stop flexing your muscles right off our shores. Nope, we need them for the war machine, you know? What's her name? Nikki Haley, the UN ambassador. That's unbelievable. You know, just tough talk with North Korea. And it's just ridiculous. I hope, that'd be great if America's insanity makes North and South Korea come to the peace table and they work together. Wouldn't that be amazing? Just showing you how irrelevant and stupid America has become with Trumper. It's crazy. We are more warmongering lunatics, Nick Thompson, and I really appreciate that. It's like we need you. And when you go on CNN or any of those channels, there's nobody saying why is North Korea such a threat? It's just war is just it's just assumed. Oh yeah, it's probably going to be war, and here's how we're going to fight it. That's the only thing they debate. They bring on a former general that's now making 6 or 7-figure income from a defense contractor, and he's the expert, and he just talks about the best way to fight wars. And it's so insane. It's just like, oh yeah, war is going to happen for sure. So how are we going to do it? Like no one's going, whoa, 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 war is awful. It's the worst thing human beings can do to each other. It is the worst thing. It kills civilians and women and children. It is awful. It is awful. It destroys lives and countries and generations of people. It's horrible. Why are we talking about this so cavalierly? Why? No one's saying that on the mainstream media. And you notice, it's the same goddamn dialogue with Iran. It's the same about Iran. It's the same about North Korea. I hope they resolve it. Because South Korea's got to be sitting there going, yeah, America's our allies, but they're going to blow us up too. If America's hell-bent on going into war with North Korea, who's going to bear the brunt of it? The South Koreans. And next up will be American poor people who have to join the military to survive. And so we're gonna kill more American men and women to fight for some bullshit regime change war that's really all about money to begin with? It's sickening. Nick Thompson, thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for supporting the show. You guys ask such great questions, man. Lawrence Taylor, thank you for supporting the show. Nick Thompson, our media completely ignored Kim Jong-un New Year's Day speech, his New Year's Day speech, to which was some of the most peaceful rhetoric to come from North Korea. Yeah, exactly. Why wasn't that speech, Nick Thompson, why wasn't that speech picked up by every major news outlet? The whole world should be going, wow, Kim Jong-un is talking peace. We should all hear this. If he wants to come to the peace table, we should talk about this. Nope. Nope. No one's talking about it. Well, we just got to blow him up. He's a rogue. No, he wants peace. Right? It's like I'm sitting there with a giant machine gun and you come to me, you're like, Graham, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. I'm like, oh, this guy's talking nuts. No, Graham, I want peace. I'm going to fucking blow your head off. That's what we're doing. That's the equivalent of what we're doing. And you just see, too, the military machine and how it fuels the propaganda of the corporate media. You just see that. Because that should have been like coast to coast, everyone talking about it on social media, everybody in all the Western countries going, wow, look at this. Kim Jong-un is really trying, New Year's Day, he's talking peace. He's trying to save his people because we're just talking about blowing him up, wiping him off the face of the earth. And he knows it could happen. And he's terrified. And then he's like, oh, that accidental pushing of the missile launch button in Hawaii. Oh, yeah, that was a crazy mistake. Kim Jong-un must have been like, oh, God, we didn't do anything. It's insane. All right, guys, couple more questions here. Michael Holmes. Thank you so much for supporting the show, Michael. Despite being the world's dominant military power, biggest in history, that's correct, they managed to make it seem like we're always the ones in danger. Yeah, that's such a great point. Though they keep spinning it like it's Pearl Harbor. Like they just attacked us, like we got no other choice. They keep spinning it as no other choice. We have no other choice. We have to protect democracy. And it's just like we are starting all the problems. We are the bullies. We are the empire. We are just pushing our corporate state all across the world. We don't care who we hurt. We don't care what countries or societies or ecosystems we destroy. Don't care. Yeah. It's insane, and everyone buys it because that's the nonstop rhetoric. And it's not just in the news. Movies, TV shows. We're always depicted as the heroes in the movie. The World War II movies, we always got to have a World War II movie come out every year. And even like Dunkirk, really well-made movie. Oh man, isn't it great we stopped Hitler? Dunkirk, in my opinion, showed a lot of young soldiers terrified that didn't even want it. They just wanted to get the hell out of there. But we always got to keep reliving World War II when we were the big heroes to remind everyone, oh, that's what North Korea is. We got to go save the world again. No, we're not. We're not saving the world. We're pushing our military-industrial complex. We're justifying our $1 trillion a year military budget, $700 billion that's on the books, and another $300 or $400 billion that's kind of off book. So, Michael Holmes. It's such a great point. We are not. That's why we always go, oh, terrorist attack. We got to ramp it up for terrorist attack. It's just to justify drone strikes and to justify regime change wars and to justify spending trillions of dollars. If we took the amount of money that we spent on the global war on terror, which is somewhere between like $4 and $9 trillion, don't have exact numbers. You know what we could do with that kind of money? We could end poverty. End it. End it. Nobody's in poverty anymore. End it. We could have an entire planet of green technology. We could be reversing all of this stuff that's happening with the environment. Jobs, healthcare. I mean, we could just end it. We could just have this like planet Earth could be a utopia. And conflicts are resolved like in a community court type of thing. You know, like nobody's... If we got rid of poverty, how much crime would we have? If we ended poverty, how many crimes would we have? Seriously, like how many? Most crime is driven by I'm poor, I don't know what, I'm pushed to the edge. You know, we didn't have private prisons, for-profit prisons. Everybody had jobs and good education and good healthcare. People wouldn't need to commit crimes. We wouldn't need them. Would there be all this violence against women? This is toxic masculinity is the result of a never-ending culture of war, where you're told to man up. I mean, women have told me that. Oh, man up. I had an ex-girlfriend that was violent with me and was just like, stop acting like a woman. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We live in an abusive, horrible society. And we could have this amazing society. So when people talk peace, we need to talk about it. Send me if there's any article on that, Michael Holmes, or a link to that speech, because I want to do a video on it. Thank you. All right, you guys. What are we at? About 70 minutes? 81 of you are watching. You guys are fantastic. Taj Marie, come on, Graham. We can't have a utopia because that would be a nightmare for sociopaths. If we have a utopia, then the sociopaths would definitely have to come out of the closet, right? Because they're not operating with impunity now. That child trafficking thing or anything. That's not happening. Good point. Good point. Good point. Lawrence Taylor, General Mattis should start smoking marijuana. Someone needs to pass the bong over to Jeff Sessions. Paul Chapman, thank you for your choice. I believe that's Paul Chapman from Our Voice, you guys. Go to ourvoiceusa.org. Jana Kelton, imagine if the women's marches were instead anti-war marches. Damn, Jana, that's fantastic. That's great. I would love to see that. We don't even know that we're in 8 wars. Like, I would let's have a peace march. You want to end misogyny? Let's stop with the war. You want to end racism? Let's stop with the war. You want to end classism? Let's stop with the war. And we live in a pretty brutal society. I've talked about this before too. It's not just men that are doing the abusing. It's 1 in 6 men have had unwanted sexual contact by the time they're 18, and 40% of their abusers are women. They predict and that's just what's reported. 1 in 3 people have had some type of, so there's abuse happening all over the place. Why is this abuse rampant? What does this have to do with the war machine? I'll tell you what it has to do. We are a culture that has been completely dismantled. We don't have family structures. Everyone's struggling. There is no good institutions anymore that kept the whole community. It takes a village. We don't have that. And everyone's just fighting for themselves, and you're told to just be a consumer and a worker, and you're distracted and given misinformation. So everyone's told that, and you're just given a new thing, new. And there's just a lot of abuse happening as a result of being in this culture where we just blow up poor people around the world so we can all have creature comforts. And corporations make record profits. Taj Marie. at Jen Kelton. I'm fairly certain percentage were out marching more on behalf of Hillary than they were for women, especially poor women. That's a great point too about the Women's March. I'm all for, yeah, let's empower women, but I firmly believe that's a lot of them. The real heavy, like, anti-male rhetoric, I'm firmly, there are Hillary supporters who are just mad and thought she was robbed because of misogyny. And it's like, no, she ran a shitty campaign and she's a pro-war, pro-corporate, pro-banking person. And let's march for peace. Let's march for peace. Yeah, because a lot of those Hillary supporters are just like the wealthy, college-educated white feminists that don't really care about women of color or anyone of color. I'm big brother to a kid that lives in South Central LA, and I don't see any rich white ladies down there. They're all over the rest of LA, and they have so much entitlement and so much privilege, and they don't do anything to help women of color. It's so like so many of the Hillary supporters was like, this is the problem with a lot of that white feminism, is it's like, when we need the first female president to be a white woman, and then we'll let women of color get in there. Like, nobody was outraged that Nina Turner wasn't allowed to speak at the 2016 convention. A black woman was denied to speak at the Democratic National Convention, and no one was outraged. Such great points you guys are bringing up. I really appreciate it. Yeah, let's turn the women's marches into peace marches. All right. Jim Garrison, it's my turn. Hillary, yeah. Yeah, Hillary's slogan, it's my turn, obviously. It's my turn. And I'm with her. Like, I've said this so many times. So she doesn't have my back. She doesn't have your back. She doesn't have working people's back. She doesn't have people of color's back. You have to get a rich white lady's back, who has a foundation that her and her husband get money from the Saudis and ExxonMobil and Raytheon and Boeing. Right. Awesome. Jeremy Chase, the United States spends over $8 billion a day for healthcare, and people still die from lack of it. Oh yeah, because we have the highest price. It's ridiculous. And you got to go to GoFundMe to get if you want to get a surgery paid for. Marsha Smith, of course, Paul Chapman. It's always a lot of work, and I put the same kind of effort into Bernie's run, and then got to know Sam because of his run for DNC chair. Right on, you guys are helping out with Our Voice. Well, guys, speaking of Our Voice, I'm gonna go drink some of this ginger root tea or whatever you told me to drink. So I got to do the TV show tomorrow, so I don't want to be all run down from it. I never get sick, and I've been sick twice. That's stupid. Oh, thank you, Sean Comets. Drink beer. Okay, yeah. I'm sober, friend. Thanks. You guys are great. Vitamin C. All right. All right, eat greens. You guys are all giving me your health tips. Okay, everyone. So let me read all the people that contributed to the super chat. Boom, 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 boom. Where is that, everybody? Come on. So, where are you at? Where's it going on? Why is this going in here? Kate, thanks for donating to the show, Kate. You're awesome. Hope you feel better soon. Let me know if you find out about investing in weed pharma. Well, I'll look into that. Maybe if I find some information, I'll talk about it on the show. Kate, you're awesome for supporting the show. Let me just find here. Why is this such a problem? I just want to, oh, no, that's not it. Where did it go? Okay. I want to read the list of all the super chatters. Oops, that's not it. Thanks, Kate, for supporting the show. Yeah, pop down. Creator Studio. Sorry. I'm, I'm losing it. Graham's losing it. Honey, not sugar. Yeah, sugar's bad. We all know sugar's bad. Sugar is not good, everybody. Don't use sugar. Look at that old man. Hold on. You guys, God, why is this taking so long? I don't get it. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to lead the list of names. I don't know what to do. You guys use coconut milk. Makes your teeth hurt. You use coconut milk. Name that tune. I don't know what's going on. Yes, I'm glad I'm not overlapping with Jimmy Dore show. I was going to do it either like 4:30 or 5 Pacific time. Or bum 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 bum. Look at that old man. He looks like a great ape. View on watch page. That's what I need. Watch page. What is going on? All right, I just wanted to go through and thank all of the super chatters. Sorry, this is like, I don't know why I have such a problem with this every time. Oh, crazy. All right. You guys are fantastic. I'm going to go and tell you that, yeah, here they are. Thank you, everybody that supported the show. You guys are fantastic. Carrie Carson, thank you for supporting the show. Lawrence Taylor, greetings from Switzerland. Thank you. Nick Thompson, thanks for bringing up your thoughts about North Korea. Lawrence Taylor again, appreciate it. Michael Holmes, always making us, yeah, America's always, we're the ones in danger. And Kate, and I will try to find out information about weed pharma. You guys are so awesome. I really appreciate this show. I didn't want to miss it, even though I'm feeling a little run down. But that's why there was no videos yesterday. But I put up one of the sun